Justin McKinney, College City Kings GM, and now Elmira Renegades player of the PBLA. How is that's got to be awesome?
Yeah, no, it's been an awesome experience. It's the highest level box I've ever played, so it's really exciting to be a part of this. So I'm happy where I'm at.
How did you end up with the Renegades there? How did that all fall into place?
So I entered the pool, or the draft list back when they were advertising that. I didn't get drafted, but Coach Hobart reached out to me, saw my profile, and gave me a shot. So he invited me to the training camp, and from there I took care of what I needed to get on the roster.
Yeah, obviously he had nothing but great things to say about you when I was talking to him. That was really
Mm.
cool, and he also said that you managed to hook up Lucas and get him a spot out there, and then he earned his way out onto the team.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I mean, as I've been playing with Lucas pretty much in every box or field event for the past like 4 or 5 years. So it's always an easy ask if he's available and the team wants him. I'm always going to try to reach out and make that happen for him. He's awesome to play with. I wouldn't want him on the other team, so definitely a good ask for him on our team.
Yeah, now that was something I found funny too. Was that he told me he hadn't played box lacrosse until he was like older. And is that the same
Mm.
experience you had as you didn't start playing until a few years ago?
Yeah, so I started playing. I was in the IBLA for 2 years before that shut down. So I mean, I think it's been a little over 5 years. Almost 6 years of box. We just haven't, in the Albany area, there is no box up until right now. So there's been the Firewolves had a junior team last year. Albany Power's doing a team this year, but before that, youth box really didn't exist in the Capital District. So there were no opportunities for us to play it growing up, besides men's leagues that we started ourselves. So
Yeah, that's really what it takes though, is people like you to kind of, just grab the bull by the horns. And
yeah.
seemed like the Hyenas were kind of not going to have a team there for the NABLL. So thank you very much for stepping up with that. It was huge because that's honestly, without them, none of this stuff would be happening. Like if you hadn't formed the Collar City and given me the time to go down and get the practice in, filming you guys in practice and learning the cameras, and then following you guys around and struggle busting my way through it, it never would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you having you is huge for us as well. We nobody on our team is a media guy. Nobody wants to run anything or take videos or do any of that stuff. So having you is, I mean, you're a blessing in disguise for sure. I'm glad that you're on our team and like you're doing work for us, but I'm also super stoked to see all the things you're doing with, the NLA, the PBLA. I've known you for less than a year, and you've already exploded to, doing professional interviews and talking to chairman and all that. So, congrats on all that, and I'm sure it's going to keep going. I know you're a hustler, so keep that stuff up for sure.
Yeah, thank you. That's basically all I know how to do is work. So I just kind of,
Yeah.
once I make my mind up on what I'm going to do for work, I'm like all in kind of guy.
Hmm. Nice.
But yeah, that's been a huge thing. And like I was talking to Paul, a lot of guys haven't gotten to watch Cody. Now that's somebody that played with you guys, and the only reason I got to see him was because he played with you guys, and he is fun to watch. I mean, and he's going to be playing against you guys. So Collar City has three representatives in the PBLA, and they're playing in the first game that you guys are all playing. I mean, that's got to be wow. This is the first professional experience really for you, I think, for Cody and for Lucas. So wow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's awesome. Cody's an awesome player to play with. Uh, on our Color City team, we're very right heavy, not many lefts, and he's a guy, U Albany kid. The way he plays translates really well to box, so it's super fun playing with him. I'm gonna have a opportunity to play against him outside of practice. That's really all I've gotten so far. But he just had a kid, so he's gonna be representing his family. Shout out to Cody, but yeah, no, it's gonna be fun going after it against him. And I also mentioned Ryan Hoteling is another guy from around the Albany area. He's also on the Binghamton team. He was on the the Hyenas with us back in the day as well. So, he's a local guy that's played with us on our summer team. So it'd be fun to see how those two work together.
Yeah, I just got to meet him. I rode out there Thursday to go to the practice. Was there for like 30 seconds, found out that bounce. I drove all the way out to Utica to basically turn around and drive home. I was like,
Yeah,
fucking awesome.
unfortunate.
Thanks. And like I said, it's been so one of the coolest parts for me was kind of getting to know you guys and filming you, and then getting to see Matthew Gregoire play for your team. Like that was such a
Yeah.
huge thing. Like that's why I tell you guys all the time. That's why I'm so like invested with Collar City. Is we're 40 minutes up the road, and I'm hoping in a
Mhm.
couple of years my nephew plays. I'm hoping you start getting kids. I coach a youth league over in Corinth. It's not that far for them guys to get up there.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, no, and speaking about Matt, he's an awesome player. I don't know how much box experience he has, but the transition was pretty smooth with him. He made some really big strides the first time I ever saw him. So, it's awesome having him this year. Hope to have him back next year and years after that.
yeah, definitely. He told me he played a couple of tournaments with the team, and
Mhm.
it wasn't. Yeah, he said I talked to him after the first time he went down with you guys, and he was like, "Wow, was that an eye-opening experience?" Like talking about the talent, like and just how fast it is, and like how different, like physical, like especially you as a defenseman, like going up against somebody like you was such like a. He said he's like I thought like I kind of had some skills until I got down there, and he, like you said, humbled himself, and you guys really brought him along. I think that's such an underrated part. Is you guys have such a core group of guys with such a high lacrosse IQ that you guys are really helping the college kids, and you guys are kind of a college heavy team.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a bunch of college guys, guys that have played before, guys that are kind of brand new to it. But the amount of different kinds of players on our team, I think, is what makes us really good. It's a versatile team. We have some huge defenders. We have like three guys over 6'4", and then we have a bunch of skilled forwards. We have got guys that can push transition. Having a well-rounded team, one, it helps fill holes, and two, I think it kind of throws everything at you in a practice where once you get to a game, you've seen it before because your practice is going to give you those kinds of reps. So, yeah, I like the team we got.
Yeah, you guys are definitely one of the best teams. That, like I said, when you guys are all there and healthy, it's really impressive to watch. Like I had to talk to Deej this morning for a little while, and
Mhm.
he's another one of those like just he fits perfectly with that Collar City mentality. Like just that we're out there, and he. I don't know if anybody loves box lacrosse more than that man. Like he was telling me about his schedule he does to make it to your guys' practice, and I was like, "Wait, you do
Yeah.
that every Thursday night?"
Yeah, no, he's definitely a hustler. We love having him. He's an older guy that's played the game for decades, so it's great to have that experience too. As I said, I'm running a team, yet I'm only 5 years into this game. So, having a vet presence like him is huge for us.
Yeah, and you guys have so like Sam Miller is a coach at Delhi.
Yeah.
You coach at a couple of high schools. You kind of bounce around and do a bunch of coaching. It seems like is that where a bunch of your guys are still involved with the sport? Do you guys have a bunch of coaches, or is it just you two?
Yeah, no, we got Greg who's on our defense. He's coaching at Cobleskill, I believe. A guy like Von Zell, he's been coaching, camps and clinics, things like that. I know, um, Connor Russell, he does that face off factory stuff. So he's been coaching face off pretty heavy over the last couple of years. So we have guys, in that 20s, 30s age range where, you're kind of doing that player coach transition. So a lot of guys are doing that on our team.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, like you were saying, is you guys you've only been playing box for 5 years, but this PBLA league seems to be going for that kind of player as far as the field guy, the field athlete, and turning them into a box player seems to be what they're focusing on. I mean, that seems like a perfect match for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, the big rule change is the subbing. So instead of subbing 5 and 5 every single time from offense to defense, you can only sub two. So it just traps guys that might have run on the offensive end to then go play defense. So, two-way field middies which is kind of what I am, is that's the kind of player that I think they want to highlight in this league. You know, whether it has any relation to what they want box in the future to look like, you know, that's debatable. But I think this league was designed for guys that can, you know, get physical on defense, lock down, then run to transition, be able to have a good offensive set, and you know, have that not kill them. You know, you need to have 6 skills in this league. You really can't survive without them, but you also need to have some IQ on defense.
Yeah, you definitely need to have some IQ on defense, and like you were saying, with the two-way player though, is I think what they're going for, and I don't know if they're necessarily trying to change the way that box is played. I know they like to use that. You know, like everybody likes to say that, but I think really what they're going for though is just the most athletic players they can, and kind of seem to round, like, you know, using their systems and show the best style. And they've kind of done some things to you know, promote the goal scoring with the rounded pads. I've talked to a couple of the goalies who said it wasn't as big of a difference feel wise as they thought it was going to be. That being said, trying to get used to new goalie pads. How did you guys feel getting to throw against the goalies with the new pads?
I mean, there's definitely room up in the top corners.
That's
But you know,
the biggest
yeah,
change I heard was on the shoulders.
right, yeah, the shoulders, they just kind of round down instead of staying level for a while. So there is a little more room up there. Good goalies are going to adjust. You know, you're going to have to kind of shoot where he is, not where he's going to be. That kind of thing. The goals are smaller than typical NLL size goals. They're 4.6s instead of 4.9s. So, you know, as far as, you know, as far as I'm concerned, it's a difference that's more for the goalie than for the shooter. You know, if they can adjust the right way, then, you know, they're still going to make a bunch of saves. They're still going to be the goalie that we drafted with their pads. So, you know, adjusting to new pads, I'm sure as a goalie, that's, you know, you probably wear pads for a decade, 2 decades. So, you know, having a brand new set the week or two before league starts, it's probably the biggest change for them.
Yeah, like you said, a new set, but not just a new set, but now having to learn that position a little different. I think the first few games are going to be super exciting, especially as the goalies are adjusting to that. Plus, you've got so many of you guys that this is your first pro box experience. I mean, the emotion out there is going to be, you know, it's going to be crazy. I can imagine the adrenaline flowing, and it's going to be more. Your teams are going to be, you know, guys that have enough experience to, you know, level off, not get that. Kind of Vegas did it, where they shot out and kind of blew their wad early, and then it was over with. They were like, and lost all their momentum.
Yeah, and I mean it's going to depend team by team. You know, if you're a team that built good chemistry in training camp, you trust the system that your coaches put in, then you know you should just go into any game with confidence. You know, everybody's going to think they got the best team, but you know, it's whatever work you put in the training camp, how the teams are drafted, and how much your guys can buy into whatever system you're playing with. That's going to determine it, really.
Now, what's it been like to get to play for Brian Hobart? I mean, somebody who's been around the sport, coached everywhere. I mean, started things up in Penyan that are just incredible, and like to get to see it and to get to play for a guy like that as your first pro coach. What is that like?
I mean, first of all, he's a great guy. He's a good guy to be around. You know, it's built a good locker room around him. So, you know, the vibes that we have during every practice, every training camp are good. You know, the way that he commands respect is good. You know, he's not a soft coach, but he's not one that's gonna, you know, scream at you every second. You know, he's a good coach for the group of guys that we have for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a good season with him and Coach Smith, our defensive coach. I think they're going to run the program the right way.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk with him. He definitely knows what he's talking about. Nobody really wants to say what they're going for, and I get all that because it is a, you know, competitive league, and everybody's out here to at the end of the day try to make some money and play some lacrosse. So that's, you know, the two of the best things going. Now, what was your biggest surprise going into that first scrimmage?
So I mean, I not necessarily a surprise, but you know, you just got to get used to it. The amount of transition involved in this game, it's, you know, it's an exhausting game for sure. I believe that our team, the way that the coaches drafted us, they drafted a very athletic team. So we're expected to be, good at that aspect of it for sure. Everybody knows how to play defense, everybody knows how to play offense, but transition is going to play a huge role in who's going to win games and who's going to lose games. 5-on-5, everybody's got solid players out there. It's who can grind for 4 quarters playing transition and, not let up on the gas pedal.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about the rule change with the 2 guys being able to change, but even more than that, you guys essentially had the long bench the entire game. I mean, the odd man. I guess the odd man, it's not really an odd man rush, but it kind of holds a guy out there, so you've got an extra guy that's either super tired or has to go off and gets kind of caught with that transition. And I think, like you're saying, with the transition and having those uneven advantages, because it's not really going to be it doesn't feel like it's going to be just a out of control fast break, but like an odd man setup, almost like a mini power play for like 10 seconds.
Right. Yeah. And a lot of that is going to depend on how teams want to run their substitution. Like, if a team wants to just put 2D guys right at the front every single time there's an offensive set, have the 2 closest guys sub, get those 2D guys on, maybe that team is going to let up a couple more transitions because they're only always dropping 3. Some teams are going to have the option. Some teams are just going to say, hey, everybody plays offense, everybody plays defense. We don't let up transition. So that's another aspect that the coaches, whether it's their first year coaching box or not, those are new rules that everybody's going to have to learn. They're going to have to kind of find the identity of their team and play off of that to find success with what they've got to work with.
Now, and that seems to be so. Like I played youth hockey. I'm not sure if you played hockey at all growing up, but
No.
like Lucas did, and I was talking to him about it a little bit. But the way you kind of set up your lines on hockey is you'll have 3 forwards and 2 defensemen out there, and it seems like somebody like Coach Hobart, who has coached so much at the younger level, like this is more that style where you don't have the specialist and you really have to learn to. Your whole team has like important pieces, and it's not that guys don't have roles to fill, but you can't rely on specialists. And kind of seems to be like a younger style, more similar to what we see in the in like youth lacrosse or like college, the box low and stuff like that.
Right. And that's something we had a scrimmage our second day at our training camp, the first week of training camp. And just in that scrimmage, we tried to see, can we sub 5 every time? Does that work? But if you're a team that's, drafted as an athletic team, we are going to push transition. We're going to stop transition. So you're not going to sub 5 every time. It's almost guaranteed that you're not if you're playing the game the right way. So, we kind of almost immediately threw that five-man group out the window. And we're just like, everybody play everything, protect defense, transition-wise, and push offense if you got it. And besides that, just play the O&D that we know how to play.
Right. So you guys are kind of going to have more team systems where, like you said, there is no specialist just up there on offense, and other than the power play, you're kind of everybody's going to be out there taking their part. Everybody has to know, like you said, both systems. You're going to have very few teams, because even if you have a team where you have a couple of guys that don't have the athleticism to keep up, well, they're not huge rosters. So once you start, if you have 2 guys, now you've shorted yourself 2 guys. Now you're only really running, 18, 16 guys, and it really kind of creates an unfair pressure. I think my favorite part of this when it starts off is going to be watching the adjustments made throughout the games. Like, I had a chance to watch the Bombers Spark scrimmage, and it was 2 completely different halves. I know nobody really wants to talk much about the scrimmage, but I mean, if you wouldn't mind, just kind of like the adjustments that seem to constantly be happening with these teams as you guys are playing, against like Syracuse, or even scrimmaging yourselves, and how to adjust all of those and keep up with it.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of our very early adjustments, we scrimmaged Syracuse, was that, as an athletic team, we kind of made it our goal to be athletic in every aspect: transition, offense, defense. We want to own that athletically. And early on, we saw ourselves kind of getting beat defensively in transition just because they were slipping one early. So, they had a defensive guy in the last, 8 seconds of the shot clock just started floating up towards midfield. And it wasn't that we were, not beating them there. We just weren't going as early as they were. So we recognized that. We kind of kept an eye out for it, clamped down on it a little bit. And, we did better in the, whatever third or fourth quarter, whenever it started to become a tight game. So that was an early in-game adjustment that we did see, just based on that team. Maybe not every team is going to run like that, but that's going to happen with every single game. There is no team identity that we can look for. There's no game film that we can see. So, at least for the first half of the season, we're going to have to, play our game, see what they do. Do we have to make any adjustments? If we do, make them. If not, just keep running our system. So
That's something you just brought up there, and I kind of haven't really talked to anybody else about this, but it seems like it's going to be a kind of unfair advantage to you guys that you guys are streamed every week. Yes, it's nice, and you're not streamed every week, but if you look through the games of the week, you guys are on a majority of the games of the week, and that's got to be a huge honor. But like you were just talking about, now every team gets to watch all of your game film.
hmm yeah, I mean, it is what it is. We expect by a couple weeks into the season, we can have some film on every team. We can at least find what their schemes are. And, right now, the way that we're running our roster, we can dress 18, but our practice players, we're not really treating them as practice players. We have a whole roster, whichever 18, show up the right way, play the right way. Those guys are going to get the starting spot. So, you're battling for a spot every time. And, hopefully the film that we have on other teams, that's their starting lineup. But I know that's not going to be the case for us. We're going to have, different guys next week than we do this week. That's, a guarantee. So, that's film is one thing, but just knowing your game is going to be important for sure.
Yeah, and that is, like you said, is basically teams are going to start to build their identities, and if you're preparing for a fight, you don't prepare just for the other guy's fight. You're preparing for your fight, and you got to capitalize on what what your strengths are, and try to nullify their strengths. Is the whole, that's the whole fun of it all, and
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be awesome. I cannot wait for this league. Like I hope they. Yeah, I really hope this league is successful. Obviously, you guys do as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was talking to somebody about it. They're paying each team. You got to figure that's $250,000 just for the players.
hmm
It,
I mean, yeah, they definitely have.
and
They got good money coming into this league for
that's
sure.
just if every one of you guys made the league minimum. So if they paid it,
Mm.
just your guys that dress the $500, and just for that, for the amount of games they have, you're talking $250,000 for the just for that. And you know that every team is not paying everybody, obviously, the league minimum. There's a lot of things that go into it, the travel. I mean, how
Mhm.
cool is that? Like, you get to drive out there. You guys have gotten the hotel treatment where you get to check in. Hi, I'm Justin McKinney. And hey, thank you, Mr. McKinney. Here's your room.
Yeah, no, I mean it's awesome. I've been playing this game for 20 some years since I was 8 years old, and you know you always pay to play. Like that's just what the sport of lacrosse is. There's not too many opportunities to get paid to play this game. So, and as I've said, I'm 30 years old. I'm the oldest runner on my team. So for the last like 8 years after college, you show up, you pay for your hotel, you pay for driving, you pay for the tournament, pay for the uni, and you fight for a t-shirt. That's what men's lacrosse is. So, it's really special to have this opportunity to fight for something more, to hopefully build on a league that I also want great success for. I think it's got the bones to be great. So I hope we do it the right way. And it seems like the leadership that we have in the front office is taking care of what they need to. It seems like they're setting themselves up for success for sure.
Yeah, they can. You can tell it's run by a bunch of people who have a lot of experience doing it. They paid attention to the things they needed to pay attention to, getting your players, getting your rosters, getting your rinks. I mean, that's something like even just the rink rentals and trying to facilitate this. Like Elmira has a hockey team and trying to fit it around that hockey schedule, and then Binghamton's got a hockey team and they're playing around it. And I think the Charlotte team has a, I mean,
Yeah.
and Syracuse, same thing. They've got a hockey team and trying to make all these schedules for you guys. This has been a. I can't imagine the amount of money they have in manpower just to try to get this thing up and off the ground. And just the kits. I mean, how cool are those kits?
Yeah, no, I'm stoked about it. I've been kind of banging around with a pretty dusty helmet for a little while, so it's nice to get some new stuff.
Are you gonna
But
have your red face mask on the front?
no, I'm ditching the red face mask. Maybe I think I'll keep that for summer ball. I don't wanna dirty up my new helmet, but yeah, no, I got a new one that actually fits my head, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's got to be cool to get gloves with the team logo and the whole shooting
Yeah.
match. I mean, yeah, like you said, and that's what I think is going to separate this league though is everybody that's in this league has already proven to themselves other and to everybody essentially, otherwise you wouldn't be here, that you just are playing because you love the sport. Because like you said, there's no like clear, oh, I went to this school, now I get to go to this college, and now I get to go try to play pro, or I get to work my way up through the ECHL, AHL,
Yeah.
Triple A, however you want to do it. And yeah, so I think the fans are really going to be in for a treat. The emotion that's been out there for the scrimmages and the practices is insane. I think people
Mhm.
are really going to be surprised with the lacrosse product that is out on the floor.
Yeah, no, I think they are as well. It's a league that it in a pretty short time, announced that they were a thing, and then got on some of the best available talent in the world. There's a lot of Americans that uh, you know get cut from NLL rosters, and otherwise would just kind of be playing in whatever winter league is around. But now with this league, it gives a lot of really good talent, NLL quality talent, a place to play, and for guys like me who a little bit of offense, a little bit of defense throughout my entire career, this is kind of a place where I think a lot of players are going to find themselves. So it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, I think like you said, is you're gonna have a ton of athletes, and you're gonna start to see some of the. I think the big thing that you're gonna see is when everybody's playing with guys, because like, yes, I love all of the like the NABLL teams, but I mean, to be realistic, for most of them, you've got a top five, six, maybe 10 guys on your team that could even be
Mhm.
in talks for this. And some of these teams have, 7 to 10 guys, but even that top 10, that could be out there. And to see everybody get to play with that level up and down the roster where all 20 guys are that good, and to see the way that this is going to start evolving with these passing windows. And that's something people don't realize with box lacrosse either, though, if you just play field, is like the accuracy that you need in box is not, I don't know, it's hard to explain unless you're really in watching a game in person live to see the windows that those passes are going through.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, as far as that goes, I've worked really hard on my hands. I kind of have natural brick hands, so I've spent thousands and thousands of hours on the wall trying to better myself in that category. Uh, and then moving to box kind of later, when I was 24, 25, that was just a whole nother eye-opening experience. Um, but I think if these teams have recruited the right guys, which it seems like everyone has, it's going to be a good product at the end of the day. In our training camp, the first weekend, I think we brought 35. I mean, the coaches had a tough job cutting guys off of that 35 guy roster. Nobody was invited to our training camp that couldn't play the game. So everybody, from the starting 35 could play, probably somewhere in this league. Coaches had to cut it down to, 27 or whatever it is. That was a tough process for them, but the final product on every one of these teams is, you know, yeah, they're going to be able to field 18 runners that really can play the game every single game. So that's an awesome thing that's happened in a pretty short time.
Yeah, like you said, the top 35, really, once you're in that pro level, uh, the coaches are more looking for what they're looking for their systems, for their, like you said, it's not so much that, like, anybody who got invited to those camps, yeah, I know, I've seen some of the guys that got cut from those camps, and I'm like, wow, they're very talented. I've seen them, play before, and it's like, okay, I'm not, I obviously haven't seen these teams, so I don't know, but I'm assuming everybody wants to win here, and guys are just going for what fits their system and style the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of it's a weird situation on our team, Elmira, where we are left heavy. It's the first time I've ever been on a team that's left heavy. Our firepower offensively on the left side is crazy. It's really fun to play with as a righty. Not having to kind of be the side that starts it or that carries the load, but it just frees up offense on the right side for sure that I've never had before. But since we were left heavy, seeing some of the guys that we cut some lefties that were, phenomenal lacrosse players that, they'd be one of the best players on the College City team kind of thing. So it's wild how good the talent is that were available for the training camps and to chisel that down to the final rosters. It's going to be a bunch of good rosters with pretty much zero holes. Whatever it is that you've got, that's going to be a great team. As long as you play your game, you should be fighting for some successful wins.
Yeah, I got to, I went out and watched the Bombers, but after talking to Coach Hobart there, so one of the Voigt brothers I got to watch the other night, and I actually watched him after talking to Coach Hobart there, and he was explaining, and wow, to watch him, I cannot imagine how good his brother is too, but the way these guys can shoot and pick apart goalies and find these tiny holes, and you don't see any space in the net, and then they completely change your angle just with how they're reaching their hands out is yeah, those guys are insane. It's hard for me to believe that a lot of these guys weren't on NLL rosters really already.
Yeah, and so Coach Hobart is coaching the MLL, so there's a handful of guys that have played in the MLL on our team. There's a couple guys that have been on NLL rosters, have been on NLL training camps, things like that. So there is a bunch of guys that have pro experience, and bringing that professionalism to our locker room, that's good for us to have as well. There's plenty of teams that don't have as much actual pro experience that might be, just solid talent for whatever reason they've got. But, having those kinds of guys is huge in the locker room for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait. Thank you so much for your time. And as usual, if you guys ever need anything, you get a hold of me. I'm
awesome.
Pulling for you guys. It does because I really wanted to go out. But Rodney Red Eye, I don't know. Do you know him at all?
Oh yeah, I know Rod. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Well, Rodney's going to be repping BS Productions out there. He's going to be
awesome.
Our official reporter on the scenes, I guess, is going to be.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, so I'm going to. And that's the thing with Rodney. You don't have to put him in touch with anybody. He knows everybody already.
He knows literally everybody. It's crazy.
So I got to. I wish I could. I was planning on getting him a shirt out when I went this weekend. We were going to meet out there and have our sweet BS Production shirt, but unfortunately that's not in the cards for this week. So